That's why it's so hard to heal outside of range of this.
That's why Casey's situation earlier was so unique, because he had a hand that still had double innovate in it, which made all those things very possible.
Lens drawn, that's perfect.
Finally, with the Shivala drawn as well, he has that safety net of being able to cast it.
Does he have any minions left in the deck? He has a banker left?
Baleful Banker number 2, yeah.
So that banker swaps up to 5 mana, which swaps the Holy Wrath. So
there's the Christology as well, right?
Oh, yeah, there is.
Let me think.
Just trying to think of relevant cost shifts, if there are any.
So his deck is True Silver, Banker, Christology, Holy Wrath, right? No, he has the second True Silver. What's
There's
the
an Equality.
Oh, the Equality, that's right.
Oof. Last 2 cards, Equality, Holy Wrath. He might have needed that Equality this turn.
I must move quickly.
13
Let
showing.
me think.
Oh, boy.
He is alive.
Yeah, not by much.
Barely.
There's a Hidden Oasis card. I'm sorry, there's a Worthy Expedition card in your opponent's hand as well. You're definitely worried about that.
Yeah.
Yarla's under the gun here, and he's just going to have to risk it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think you just have to let it rock. And alive he remains. This is razor-fine margins in this matchup right now.
What to do?
How much different is this turn if Bunny still had that second swipe? Because he used it during a timeout situation, right?
What to
Yeah, I think you're right.
I just don't know how he could have made that happen.
I think he was in a pretty logical place about getting cards out of his hand.
Time waits for no one.
I don't think he was expecting to have this much pressure with the
Need
slow
a
hand that he had.
Two gloops.
out of cards?
Quality drawn. I think Bunny Hopper was going specifically for dupe the swipe.
Dupe the swipe, yeah, and he's whiffed on it. That's just what occurred to me as well.
But if that was the case, even in the face of an equality clear, the true silver swing, you'd be 1 point outside the range.
Yeah.
So it's just a risk versus reward setup. Could be filling up the hand for the Ferocious Owl draw as well. I mean, Bunny's only got 2 cards left.
Let me
If this board gets
think.
cleared, he draws Ferocious Owl. He's got Howl and Nomi.
It might just be occurring to Yala right now that there's a Ferocious Owl he hasn't seen, which does enable Nomi to be played on the following turn. If that's the case, might feel pressured into having to Shivala now, but he can't do that with the equality clear.
So, Quality, Pyro, Christology. If the Nomi hits, you have Zephyr's clear. Go to 9 health, you're outside of the range of a dupe swipe. You have 4 damage in play that you're representing with Bunny Hopper at 26. And the Zephyrus is in hand. So it has to be Ferocious Owl, or Bunny's under threat of lethal and has to make something happen. So he gets to fight back.
Out of cards.
His fight back is still very efficient because of the nature of what it is. But now Yarla gets the turn to launch the Holy Wrath, which means the Shivala hits. When the Shivala hits, that pulls Yarla outside of the range of lethal possibilities. I think that came down to whether or not Bunny drew Ferocious Owl.
Well, he draws Ferocious Owl next turn, so he does heal for 22.
I meant right now.
Right, but I'm saying, like, he still doesn't die straight up to 2 Holy Wraths, right? He goes down to 5. He goes up to, so the Soulfire will kill him.
Fatigue counters.
The Soulfire will kill him off the Zephrys.
Also, there's 2 fatigue hit to account for. Takes 1 and then
Because he
takes
has
2.
to play the Ferocious Howl. Yeah, you're right. Oh, boy.
Yeah, no, that is a major turn. I
Yeah.
think Bunny needed to draw a Ferocious Howl that turn. It backfoots Yarla, then you get to redevelop.
Waits for no one.
It's a completely different game.
I'll tell you one thing for nothing. Bunny Hopper cannot take these damage from these minions.
That's what I'm saying. Can he double gloop and develop? Oh, wow. I forgot that the double gloop could be the kicker here because the Banker's going to be in play and the Shivala will be in play. So he goes to 25 from the Holy Wrath turn. He's got 2 Oasis Surgers in play. The 5/4 can trade into the Shivala. The 5/2 trades over the Banker. So if you double gloop, you go to 8 mana. You make 1 trade, you go to 10. You Oasis yourself, you go to 17. Or I'm sorry, is it 27? No, it's 17. Then you trade in the 5/2 into the Banker. That's 2 more mana, takes you up to 6. You hit an Oasis again.
You're still dead. Holy Wrath plus Soulfire plus 1 tick of Fatigue is exactly 30.
Let's stash that away.
So you have to cast the Ferocious Howl to gain armor. If you cast the Ferocious Howl, you end up taking extra fatigue damage.
Oh, boy.
I'm out of cards. I must move quickly.
Your wish is my suggestion.
So this gives... What? Wait. That I don't understand.
He doesn't know it's been. He still doesn't know it's been duped,
He's
right?
scared of duplicated swipe still?
No, that can't be the case because.
No, he wouldn't have been dead.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been dead. There can still be duplicated swipe. Maybe he's scared of the exact kind of scenario you were talking about. Wanted minions off the board on Bunny's side?
this
So
just-
that the gloops didn't regen too much mana?
Doesn't that just squelch the possibility of that happening? So if you double gloop here and you Starfall, you go down to 3 mana. You restore 6 of that by killing off these 3 minions in play. So you're up to 9 mana.
That's no good to you, right?
If you Ferocious Howl now, you go to 4. You gain 9 armor up to 13. You double gloop, do the same thing.
Time waits for no
You hit an
one.
Oasis. 13 plus 12. Dead. I think he checkmated. Oh! Did Bunny spot a brilliant play? The Starfall plus the trade-in. Your mana off. Yeah! Wow! Nice setup from Yarla. He squelched every possibility.
Okay, I am very, very glad that we get to interview him now, because we get to ask him if he actually was accounting for double Glorious Gloop mana regen with that execute play. That's absurd.
I mean, I think he squelched everything that Bunny had a range of possibility to do at the end as counterplay.
Yeah, I mean, I think because that last card was Ferocious Howl, many of the things were cut off, so I'm dying to personally find out what Yarla was working on there with that last execute.
Yarla's so good.
Yeah.
Like, he found a proactive way to use the Zephrys in a spot where you're trying to simply deliver that little bit of extra damage and cut off the possibility of your opponent out healing it. How do you find a proactive way to do that with Zephrys? Like, that's so weird.
Zephrys is a very proactive card. I don't know what you're so concerned about. But yeah, there's various routes you could have gone down, right? There was Zephrys into the Soulfire, which if you're not aware, you spend 7 mana in your combo, you play Zephrys for 2 extra, then you have 1 remaining. So it will give you a Soulfire if a Soulfire is immediately lethal. So actually on your second combo turn with Holy Wrath Paladin, you can do 29, not 25. If that's not the case, you can do the same thing and get Pyroblast for a following turn, which you saw offered there in that situation. That's the kind of situation it will give you Pyroblast in. Yarla went completely next level again somehow and find the execute, and I want to find out what that execute was about, so let's ask Yarla himself. I believe he is standing by, ready to talk to us.
Yarla, can you hear us?
Hello, guys. What's
Woo!
up? I can.
That was an impressive game at the very end there. Sottle, you lead off with the question because this was your thought.
The execute. What was it playing around? Because we can see things that it did play around, but I want to know what you were trying to play around with the execute.
It was against double swipe. He was 1-off with fatigue and the 5-5 on board.
Yes.
Are you aware of all the other possibilities that you played around in that situation as well?
Probably not.
So the double gloop turn, you actually shut off because he would have 2 trades in, so he can actually generate himself a 12 mana separated up turn. So he gets to double Hidden Oasis if you don't execute as well.
Oh yeah, that as well. I actually didn't account for that.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, how could you? It's like
that's why I said we need to ask, because if that actually happened, you made the one play that won the game. Like, that's the bottom line. But I was gonna, like I said to Admirable right beforehand, if he was actually accounting for double Glorious Gloop into double Hidden Oasis, that's one of the most high-level things I've ever seen. But still, it was an incredible game of Paladin.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
the game was
okay.
super hard.
Yeah.
So much stuff going around.
it was. I think the whole series kind of seemed that way, aside from like the pre-shenanigans that are going on. So talk to me about this in some of the highlights and some of the tougher decisions you faced in this match.
So basically, Priest always gets the win. So it was about if my Paladin can't find the W, either against Druid or either against Shaman. Yeah, and that was basically series against Bunny. If my Pala wins, I win. If Pala doesn't win, I lose.
Rest of the Paladin game just totally standard from there.
Yeah.
He's too good.
No decisions to be made. How many reps do you have to have on a deck like Holy Wrath Paladin before you feel really comfortable with it? Because I've only started really digging into it recently, and I feel like Zephyrus knowledge is very, very hard to acquire with that deck in terms of like what it does in various situations. Like, do you feel comfortable with the deck, and how much time have you put in to get to that point?
I think Paladin is like the least played deck. I have some experience, but not that much. Also, Zephyrus is sometimes hard to like account for. I had like spots where I wanted Blizzard and it gave me like Shadow Flame, MC Tech, and something else. Complete nonsense. So yeah, sometimes it's hard to navigate, but
Zephyrus doesn't know the matchup. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So he's a crazy dude. He's got a lot of weird ideas. I want to talk about now you leading the division after this week. You beat Bunny Hopper, who was fighting neck and neck with you to take that first place at this point. And in last season, you were in that middle ground where you kept trading matches here and there. What is it like now that the division I think, Sottle, in my opinion, has got tougher, that you're topping it leading after week 3?
Yeah, I think my group is the harder one, but it's pretty sweet to be able to get number 1 for now, but it's still some more matches coming, and it will be hard to keep up, but yeah, hopefully I can make playoffs this time. Last season I messed up in few series, so I deserved to not make it, but hopefully I can make it this time.
I think that's about it. It's been a long day, so I think we should wrap it up. Yala, congratulations. Very well played. You are leading the group, and you're a very deserved leader, so well done. Hope to speak to you again next week.
Well played.
Thank you. Have a good night, day.
Yeah, either works.
It'll be night eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure I will have a good night.
Yeah.
Sleep like a baby.
Whew. After today, I will. Today was filled with emotion and with drama and craziness and triumph and conquering. Like, this was, I feel like it's like the Hearthstone soap opera right now.
It really was, yeah. I mean, if you want some emotion like generated into your broadcast, then this was the day for you. But I think it was great, speaking of emotions, to end it on a positive one, which is talking about a guy playing great and like navigating one of the most complex late game situations I have ever seen in a competitive game of Hearthstone, and then coming out of the other side and being able to say, this is the toughest group anywhere in any region in this tournament. I think that's almost a given at this point, and I'm the player on the top of it, and I think it's a way to go out in style with that Paladin versus Druid game as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We can look at the standings and see exactly how things shaped up today as we come to a close for our spectacular Sunday. Hunter Ace stands atop alone at 6-0. Yarla trailing right behind him on the top of the other division at 5-1. And man, this season has delivered. We're not even halfway through yet.
Now that you mention it, that's a very, very good point. Yeah, you look at Colento there as well. I mean, if you missed it, Orange earlier came out and threw some shots out at Colento and said that he doesn't have the matchup knowledge required to compete at this level. Scoreboard, 5-1 right now.
I don't necessarily disagree with Orange, though. I think Colento has shown some weaknesses in some of the cracks in the game by not understanding some of the intricate lines that help deliver extra percentage. We talk about the percentage plays all the time. That's what matters. It doesn't always matter, but when it does, it's paramount to some of your victories. We saw some of those examples today here, and I also want to iterate that Orange did it in the nicest and most Swedish way possible.
So polite.
Where it was just extremely respectful, and how could you not be? Like, I like that players are showing in the last couple of days that they're willing to stick their neck out there, put their reputation on the line and say, hey, you know what? I may be behind in the scoreboard, but who's playing better? Like, that's a peer-reviewed thing that only the professionals and the other professionals could really speak to on a wide range of things. It's not just the result that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think before we go, it would be a disservice not to pay attention to the bottom of the league as well. Fino all the way down there at 0-6, and then Swids and RDU on the other side. We're at the point in proceedings now where those players probably are looking at something like 60 to 70% win rate throughout the rest of the season if they're going to survive.
And if there's players that can get it done, it's the kind of players who have showed up here in Grandmasters to get the job done. Legacies under their belt, tons and tons of points racked up, world championship titles, you name it. The players that are here in Europe, I think, are the kinds of players that can get it done. It's still anybody's game because, like I said, we're not even halfway done with the season so far. But we are done with our Sunday here for the European region, which means Americas is coming up. So for myself, for Sottle, for everyone here at the production crew, thank you so much for watching. We're throwing it over to Americas. Play Hearthstone.com/esports. Stay up to date with the schedule and all the deck lists that have been taking place here in Grandmasters. We'll see you next week.
Tavern, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday here at the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas region, the best region, joined by the best casters in the world, at least in this building. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by TJ Sanders. Together, we're going to walk you through another 5 furious Hearthstone match. Today is September 8, 2019, and on this day in history in 1974 is when President Gerald Ford pardoned President Nixon for the scandal that happened at Watergate.
Oh, wow.
That's right. So a lot of drama happened about 45 years ago. And a lot of drama is happening this Sunday. You know why? Because we have a great schedule of matches. We're going to start things off with a nice little appetizer, if you will. ETC versus Firebat. ETC going to struggle to get out of last place. TJ Firebat looking to cement his position, as well as prove to everybody once again that he is not washed as people accuse him. And also, for a second shareable to start things off, TJ, Strifegro fighting for the same thing. I met up with him last night, got a chance to chat with him. I said, Strifegro, why do you suck? And he said, you know what, I gotta improve. I'm trying to do things outside the game. He thinks that he can't focus. But the reason why, the drama today, TJ, is because of match number 3, Nalgadon versus Gallon. I am so pumped for this match.
The double feature today. The featured matchup and then the Frodance featured matchup.
No, there's only one featured matchup. It's the Frodance featured matchup.
It's going to be a good one.
Match 3.
Gallon, in his interview yesterday, fired some serious shots at Nalgadon. Of course, I don't think anything was ill-intentioned. I think he's just trying to fire them up and get both of them ready for their match today. Nalgadon currently at the top of the standings for Division A at 4-1. But I think Gallon said it. His mental attitude's not quite there yet, and I do think that despite his 4-1 record, his play has not lived up to that. So I want to see Nalgadon, if he is going to secure his place as the for sure first place division after week 3 here, that he does it well, that he does it cleanly, that he crushes Gallon.
And there's 2 ways to go about it as well, TJ. 1 is for the drama, 2 for the standings. Gallon with the defeat over Nalgadon, or victory rather.
Tie him.
You tie for first place.
Yeah.
And this is the playoff picture. Nalgadon, Eddie, Fireback, Gallon with Muzzy and Purple hot on their tails, but we have couple players. We have 2 players who are 2 games back, Strifegro and ETC. At this point, they might feel like they're playing for anti-relegation as opposed to a playoff spot. But we have a lot more Hearthstone to play the next coming 3.5 weeks. Over Division B, Just Sam locks in another 2-0 week, firmly in first place of Division B. Bloody Face, Monsanto, and Frozen right behind them. But of course, the question becomes on the bottom end, Delay, PNC, Amnesiac, all 3 of these players within danger zones of relegation, which is becoming a deeper and more pronounced storyline. People said not enough stakes in Season 1. It's a joke. And now, when things are on the line, all of a sudden, the system of relegation is a joke. I can't believe one of these players that are super good has to lead this league. That's what it is. Yeah. I say relegate all of them. All 16.
Maybe not all of them. There's
all
a couple
15.
of them.
We'll keep the winner. Relegate 15 players.
There's a couple of them that I think are played really well, that I like a lot, that I'd like to see play next year. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, especially with Europe. A lot of emotional moments today in Europe, especially surrounding sort of the bottom of the standings. The Fino-Casey match was a big one.
Yeah.
And kind of brutal, but that's just the nature of the game. If you have a couple missteps along the way, a couple bad beats along the way, if you don't step it up halfway through the season now, or almost halfway through the season now, you're going to get relegated.
Look,
and someone's going to take your place.
This isn't the Hearthstone Group Therapy Grandmasters League. This is Hearthstone Grandmasters where if you lose, and you lose too much, you're out.
Yep.
I want to see that. And as much as I acknowledge that some of these players are also my friends and colleagues and peers, and I do want them to do well, and I wish the best for all of these players' success across all 3 regions. I want to see some high stakes, and I think high stakes Hearthstone is where it's at. When you go to the World Championship, TJ, and you see players like Hunter Ace and Viper play, and you realize that not only, of course, is the title of champion on the line, but there's like $100,000 on riding on this arch villain Rafam. That's really exciting. That's a lot of money to play for, and I think that's what a lot of players are weighing right now as their decisions are super heavy. Right, every single thing that they can choose to do, or every little line that they take, have massive implications, because this is a kind of metagame where you get punished real hard.
Yeah, it's a tough metagame with a lot of complicated decks and complicated board states, and you know, one slip up, as we've seen many times, small or big, can lose you a game, which loses you a series. Best of 3 is not forgiving whatsoever. So there's not really room for any of that kind of stuff.
What's the risk that people are going to take? We do take a look at one risk that Monsanto has brought this weekend. It is the Highlander Reno Mage. Reno Mage, a deck that got nerfed. You know, the good old nerf bat came for the kneecaps of Jaina Proudmoore. I believe that is the hero that we are donning today. Just kind of took a couple of thwacks at Luna's Pocket Galaxy, 5 to 7 man. Took a couple thwacks at Conjurer's Calling.
And I thought there was one more, but I'm entirely mistaken. But yeah, Monsanto taking the risk here, and I think the big thing about the Highlander Mage is that it's a much more targeted strategy now. You can't just bring Highlander Mage because it's good against everything and just take wins because Luna's Pocket Galaxy carries you through a matchup where you wouldn't otherwise win. It has its spots against aggro. Luna's Pocket Galaxy still good against slow control decks like Warrior. So I think it makes sense considering that the deck can't be targeted. You can have it in your lineup but choose not to play it. It's just there for those situations where you can steal a win against Warrior in a series where that matters a whole heck of a lot.
All right, well, that brings us to our first break. We're done hyping about the high stakes that the players are battling for. It's still just week 3, but after today, we'll be almost halfway
Almost
through.
halfway.
It's going to be a fun time. What's going to happen? The stories are going to develop here on Sunday at Hearthstone Grandmasters for America, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hearthstone Esports is home to many competitive formats, each with their own unique variants and rules. Today, we're going to break down one of them, the Shield Phase Conquest format. And here's how it works. To start, both players bring 4 decks, each from a unique class. The match starts with a Shield Phase. This is where both players choose one of their own decks to protect, making it ineligible to be banned. Once the Protect phase has ended, both players will then ban one of their opponent's decks, removing it from the pool. Each player then selects which of their remaining decks they would like to play first, before beginning the first game of the series. When the first game of the series is over, the winner's deck is removed from their pool of eligible decks. Both players then select the next deck they would like to play. The loser of the first game can choose to replay with the deck they lost with, or they can choose one of their other 2 available decks. In Best of 3 conquests, the first player to 2 wins is the victor. In Best of 5 series, such as those in the semifinals or finals of major events, the first player that makes it to 3 wins takes the W. It's that easy. Shield Phase Conquest allows players to showcase their skill set across different classes, while still giving them the opportunity to play the deck they're most confident with. Now that you've got the download on Shield Phase Conquest, we wish you well on your deck building adventures.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism.
ETC versus Firebat is coming up next here as our first match of Sunday here of the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas region. ETC at the bottom, in the pits, if you will, of Division A, and Firebat a couple of cuts above him. Firebat in the playoff race, along with a few other players in Division A, and with a win here, can also position himself to be top 2, maybe even tied for first.
Yeah.
If Nalgidon ends up dropping his series. That's the Frodan featured match of the day, by the way.
It is. Yeah, there's kind of an interesting situation right now where I don't think Firebat's record reflects how well he's been playing, because almost every one of his matches this week has been very clean. This season has been very clean. His wins have been very clean. His losses, it's just, he's getting bad beats, but he's still playing to his outs even in his losses. So I think Firebat's one of the players that's at that middle that I think has the biggest potential to move up the ladder into the top of the standings.
Same with Monsanto, I believe.
Absolutely.
I put him in that boat where, like, the record doesn't indicate how strong they've been playing. Firebat tied for second with Eddie and Gallon. That's going to be a big break either way. Same thing with Bloody Face and Monsanto. Both those players will be playing later today, but we're going to start things off with a good old-fashioned...
Don't tell it to me, Dan. Oh, okay. Woo.
Priest versus Shaman.
I thought you were going to say Priest Mirror for a second, but Priest versus Shaman. All right. Firebat playing a slightly different version of the Priest, as opposed to what we've been seeing become pretty standard across the board. He is playing 1 Beaming Sidekick and no Bwansamdi. So he's still adding the extra 1-drop, but not playing Bwansamdi to be able to tutor them from his deck. In his place, he's playing a second Acolyte Pain, and he's playing 2 Holy Ripples as well in that 2 slot. So it looks like Firebat is trying to counter more of these board control style decks and not give him additional game against slower decks, which I think is a meta read. He's expecting more Zoo, he's expecting more Shaman, and I think that's what his deck lists reflect, where he just needs more tools to fight for board in kind of those mid stages of the game.
I do not mind bouncers. I think bouncers are some of the most fun things you can do in Hearthstone, because you get to double dip and you get a lot of more options. Do I return the cards now? Do I play it in later? It reminds me of the old switcheroo games that we like to play. Questing Adventure. Well,
can't capitalize on it right now.
Not really that much. But yes, Firebat looks like he's off to a pretty fast start here. Injured Blade Master. Curve now. Pyromancer number 1 isn't super important, but Pyromancer number 2 is good. And by killing the Pyromancer, he guarantees something dies so the Psychopomp can be played on curve.
Yep. Finds Goblin Lackey.
Goblin Lackey is pretty nifty to take out the Light Warden, which I think ETC is contemplating here. Taking out the Light Warden would be removing some of the damage that's coming in, because you do know that there are heal opportunities for Priest next turn with the Injured Blade Master being played as a 4-3.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Now, this is a pretty tough matchup for Shaman, and it's made even tougher by the fact that ETC does not have Earthshock in the list. Once you stick a big minion as Priest, you can just keep protecting it over and over again. Eventually, Shaman will just get pushed out of the game because they can't deal with massive threats. There's an exception. There was a match earlier in Europe Grandmasters between Orange and Viper, where Viper's hand was very low on spells and heavy on minions from the Priest side. He played in a Mind Control tech, and Orange was able to Mind Control tech a massive Injured Blade Master, which ended up allowing to snowball the game and win the series. So there are ways for Shaman to fight back, but a lot of it's dependent on their hand matching up well with the Priest hand, right? Them having the answers to the things that the Priest has. Because it's pretty much on the Priest. It's their job to stick a minion and protect it enough to deal lethal damage, whereas the Shaman just kind of has to play reactively for the early game and hope that they get enough board control in order to try and stabilize with Sandstorm Elementals, with Mind Control tech, potentially with big spells from Ethereal Lackeys.
Great breakdown, TJ. Now I want to ask a question. Should we trade this injured Blade Master and try to go for the 50-50 Psychopomp?
Is someone injured?
The greedy part of me lights up. My eyes light up when I see an opportunity like that. I'm like, how can I find a way to instantly win this game? The thing is, Firebat, with this play, first of all, is a better play on average than just to play the Psychopomp and get a Wild Pyromancer, and then, of course, lose a lot of the tempo that you could potentially develop in the future turns.
Yeah.
But it also is one of those things where you talk about percentage points, which is, do you feel like your chances of winning this game are 50%? Or, like, do you need that 50% win? Or do you think by taking the advantages late in the game, you get higher than 50%?
I think the longer the game goes on, the more advantage Shaman has. That's pretty much in every matchup, right? But the way Priest wins is by snowballing the board, and outside of Mind Control tech, there's not really a way for Shaman to stop snowballing the board.
Right.
So I think at that position, when you have the board and Shaman's plays are pretty weak early, you don't have to take the 50-50, at least not yet. But this play from Firebat, when you see a coin Youthful Brewmaster on a Lackey generator, you're kind of gives a lot of information over to Firebat, and the fact that his hand is weak. He got a pretty suboptimal Lackey, and he wants to try and rebuy to improve his position on the board.
I'm pretty sure that if he had a Kobold Lackey, he would have used it.
He would have used a Kobold Lackey. He may have even used a Goblin Lackey. What it can also say is that maybe he even has Weaponized Wasp and wants to combo with it next turn, or has multiple Weaponized Wasp and has multiple Lackeys.
Gets the injured Tolveer, and he also finished his quest. I think that was a big thing for ETC, realizing that he wanted to finish his quest more than anything.
Yeah. All right, Topsy-Turvy picked up for Firebat. That gives him a way to get through this injured Tolveer.
Yes, in fact, with the Wild Pyromancer Topsy-Turvy, Firebat has an opportunity to also draw cards. Seems like Firebat instead just taking it pretty slow. Again, no need to rush onto the board. Knows that Shaman with the quest finished can be very threatening if he's not careful. Oh boy.
Oh geez.
Whoa, man.
3 more cards for Firebat.
You know, actually, before he did this,
Shield.
so hold on, dude. Oh, we found Power Shield. I was thinking, what was the value of Firebat preemptively Topsy-Turvy the Light Warden, and then Circle of Healing, then trade? He gets the 11 health, or the 5 health on the Northshire, or the Light Warden. So that way it's like a more resilient minion against a lot of things. He's doing it retroactively now.
That's actually a good point, though, because if he didn't pick up Power Word Shield, he would have been in a position where he would have to trade in his Light Warden.
Exactly.
And Power Word Shield was really the only draw that he had in his deck.
Does he have a Beaming Sidekick?
Oh, he does have 1 Beaming Sidekick.
Sure.
So 2 Power Word Shields and a Beaming Sidekick with still 20 cards left in deck. That's
yes. So the idea
pretty
is
low odds.
to flip the 5/2 to a 2/5, then bump and Circle of Healing. It gains +6 attack, which should be able to trade in, so it becomes a 6 or whatever X3.
Yeah.
And then you're able to
maybe he was going.
Then you're able, but he doesn't get the benefit of this, right? He saves the Power Word Shield and whatnot.
Yeah. If he does pick up Beaming Sidekick or Power Word Shield, he gets to have a much higher upside, which is a massive Light Warden that's not going to die. If he picks up Beaming Sidekick also, though, then he plays into Mind Control tech. So
right,
that's not really an out. It's pretty much just Power Shield. I don't even know if that play was on his mind until the end.
He would probably Power Shield at the end to protect his Light Warden, but ETC does have the Weaponized Wasp anyways, and now because it says 11 health, he can't kill it. So everything worked out really nicely for Firebat.
And now his pool is quite good for Psychopomp. He has Wild Pyromancer, Injured Tolveer, and Injured Blade Master. So Psychopomp has 2 out of 3 here to draw a very good minion.
Yeah, or Firebat could maybe find a way to hit critical amounts of damage, maybe even find some kind of pocket lethal with Wild Pyromancer and Holy Ripple.
He doesn't have the 3rd spell. So this will damage everything, and it'll heal 3 minions.
So
It'll also draw 3 cards.
6, draw 3 cards. Doesn't have enough mana for the Inner Fire, but it doesn't matter because he is so far ahead. Mind Control Tech is not a possibility. And incidentally, again, like we were talking about, this Light Warden is super key. Firebat didn't really need the Light Warden to win this game because it looked like he was going to be far ahead anyways.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even give Shaman a chance to potentially swing this. EDC needed specifically Ethereal Lackey to Earthshock, and he doesn't get it. And in his mind, he's going to have to play Cleanup here.
Yeah.
Even then, Cleanup's not very neat.
No, he can only kill one of these minions that's not the Light Warden. I guess you can kill Northshire Cleric to stop draw, but Firebat's already drawn 7 more cards than he has.
Right.
The Northshire Cleric's already done its job. Plus some.
Yeah, I think clearing off the Northshire Cleric is probably end up what you want to do, but you know, you're staring at what feels like 13 guaranteed damage with the hero power.
Yeah.
A single heal card of any capacity, Ritualist, another Circle of Healing, an Inner Fire will end this game.
Yeah, actually, maybe you kill the Wild Pyromancer and try and block damage with Giggling Inventor next turn.
Right.
Because if you leave the Wild Pyromancer on board, all of a sudden your Giggling Inventor is...
And that's going to do it. Firebat takes game number 1. Several paths to victory here, and he's going to cruise to a 1-0 lead. Wow. Wow, Firebat, really?
All right.
He has the quest to deal damage to enemy heroes. Needs to get to 65 as soon as possible.
Nicely done. Nicely executed. Yeah, another clean game from Firebat. Seems to be his MO this season. And I like the change from the norm in his Priest deck list. The Holy Ripple's coming in huge there. Mentioned earlier on that if you're expecting a lot of those board-centric battles, all of a sudden Priest, you know, gets a lot better in those. Obviously, he sacrificed some percentage points across other decks, but like the start from Firebat and ETC, kind of taking a risk queuing Shaman game 1 with all the Priest queues in the past couple days, and it's not paying off.
Yeah, I think in his mind, if he protects the Priest, he can play it later on, but wants to try and get ahead of the Priest in game number 1. But queuing Shaman and Priest seems a little questionable, given that I think it's one of Shaman's weakest matchups.
Yep.
We'll take a break, and we come back. We'll find out if Firebat can close out 2-0. If ETC drops us here, he is firmly in control of last place.
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. But this league's gonna save the world.
My name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle, but we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the world championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold-out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 FC World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunter Race. Only one can be the champion. Oh, come on!
Match be dead.
Wacko pick of this coming out from Hunter Race.
It's now or never. Arch-villain
Okay! In a completely solved game, Hunter Race finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
Firebat versus ETC is going to be a warrior versus a shaman. That's right, ETC protecting the priest and not playing it because I think he is afraid of the warrior. So here's something to think about. Firebat bringing the OTK paladin really throws a big wrench into things because people aren't sure of whether or not the paladin can beat the priest or feels like a vulnerability point. But by banning the paladin, they leave the warrior up, and that gives Firebat the opportunity to sneak in that warrior whenever ETC is playing, and it makes ETC feel like, oh, I can't play that priest. Because a lot of people are first queuing priest, and Firebat's like, oh, I can just queue warrior right off the bat.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Firebat not bringing Shaman this week and instead bringing the Holy Wrath Paladin. And I still think that ETC, it's better for him to queue Priest Game 1 because he has two good matchups. I don't think Firebat can risk queuing Warrior Game 1 because if he does, then he has potentially two bad matchups to queue in. So it's just kind of lower. There's, of course, a lot of mind games going into it. But when you start to think too deeply into it, then it can put yourself in awkward positions like that where you queue a terrible matchup game 1 because you queue into a deck that has two bad matchups and one good matchup. And even the good matchup is not good enough to where you want to take the risk. And I'm talking about Warrior, Shaman versus Warrior, which he does end up getting, but now he's a game behind in order to do so.
Right, he has that buffer room to drop it, and now, even if ETC is able to win with this game, he doesn't have Warrior to rely on himself, so it sets up a situation where ETC plays Druid or Priest, and Firebat plays the Warrior or his Druid.
Yeah, he'd probably play Warrior in that instance, so I think Firebat's on Warrior until he gets a win with Warrior in this series, which I think is the situation that ETC wanted to avoid.
Sure, I mean, he does have Quest Druid available to him. Both players do.
Yeah, but I'm not sold on the Quest Druid countering Warrior yet. Maybe ETC's version because it's pretty greedy, but
of course it's the right way.
We've seen it win, but I think the statistics say otherwise, at least from Grandmasters. Like, if you look at the statistics from Grandmasters, especially in Europe, Warrior just keeps winning that matchup. think we're going again with Frightened Flunky next turn.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for Firebat is to keep up his momentum, and keeping your plays flexible for low cost is a real key thing for this early game of the Warrior. He's already even used the coin, because coining into like Dr. Boom Mad Genius isn't really a viable strategy. ETC picks up the Giggling and Bender. That's not going to be really useful for a while. Ethereal Lackey. All right, so I like holding on to a Lackey, but at the same time, if he plays the Lackey, he doesn't have a guarantee of playing the Weaponized Wasp the next turn.
And if he plays Sludge Slurper, he can't Lackey and play the Weaponized Wasp anyway, because he'll be overloaded. He'll be down 3 mana.
Right.
But if he doesn't play anything here, then he might fall too far behind on board. And one of the biggest things about this matchup for Warriors is protecting their life total. If they can prevent chip damage early game, it opens up so many opportunities for them to take some risks with their life later in the game and hold on to bigger removal spells in order to buy time for their big value plays.
Maybe that's why this double Eternium Rover, while it looks relatively innocent, might actually be a huge reason why Firebat can win this game.
Yeah.
And now this Frightened Flunky gives Firebat good potential opportunities. He does have the opportunity to pick up the Ironfur Grizzly for low cost, but if he wants a 6-mana taunt for higher impact on 6, Damage Technotron's like okay. Safeguard is okay.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
Yeah, I don't like the Ironfur Grizzly because I think if you're going to be playing something next turn, it's most likely going to be Restless Mummy. Because if he doesn't interact with your board at all, you don't want to play into Mind Control tech with the Ironfur Grizzly.
See, now everyone always talks about Forked Lightning, but even on this position for the board with Forked Lightning, would you rip it?
It's 2 overload.
It's 2 overload, but it does allow you to play Evil Totem.
Yep, it's true.
I still think you don't, because if you whiff on the 2-attack minion, the 2/2, you've overloaded and you invested your mana into a tempo loss.
He can zap and play Weaponized Wasp.
That does seem to be the better option.
He can Wind Fury and hold on to it for later.
I wonder.
Yeah, he could. He could also Wind Fury the 2/2.
He could. These are all options that are available to ETC.
There's little time.
Trying to shut down the armor gain. This is more than just killing the minion. It's denying 2 armor. So yes, while you waste the damage, think of it as netting plus 1. Not letting him gain an extra 2.
Yep. Rough draw. But still a decent turn for Firebat. He'll be at 38 life after this turn with still control over the board from this Restless Mummy. So I still think Firebat's in a good position. Obviously, there's a lot of game left to play. One of the tough things about Shaman is that it seems like they never run out of stuff. Yeah. And Warriors, a deck that, Control Warrior specifically, is a deck that wins through attrition most of the time. Obviously, Armageddillo plus some big taunts, you can pile on aggression. But oftentimes, Shaman's not going to let you get there. Because they're getting so much value, they can dictate how they use that value. They can clear the board, or they can push face damage.
A really good time for ETC to plop this 0/2 down. Firebat does not have Dynamatic. And does get the Cobalt Lackey, which means that ETC will have to hero power and get through things very efficiently. And I think you're going to start to see why Shaman feels very good versus the Warrior.
Even picks up Evil Cable Rat, which allows him to fill his curve perfectly. He's going to be able to have 3 lackeys at the end of this turn because of the Evil Totem. And this is kind of the awkward position because you really don't want to expend a Warpath to deal with this. But the longer you leave that Evil Totem up, the more that ETC can just play a bunch of nonsense and keep those lackeys going. And now Evil Totem's gonna get to go again.
Yeah, this Evil Totem's getting way out of control. We're already talking about how good it feels to have Evil Cable Rat and Sludge Slurper give you 2 lackeys. This is going to be the 3rd lackey for Evil Totem.
Nothing but power.
and Social Spirit on the Evil Totem. Oh, man. Probably
It's an
better
interesting
served
one.
for something big that you can get off Mutate, since he did pick that up.
Ooh, I kind of like the Earthen Might. Earthen Might just being a buff to help pressure the warrior a little bit. You want to get that extra damage in so that you can threaten the combos and then ultimately have Shudderwalk close the game. So I think if I'm ATC, I'm debating between that and Elementary Reaction. I think you're not going to be struggling too much on their card draw, but then again, all the cards in his hand can easily disappear and be low value. Also, if I'm ADT, I think I want to add the Titanic Lackey to make sure Dynamatic doesn't clear things off. All right, chooses to hold on to it.
I mean, he most likely had to read that Dynamatic wasn't there because there was, 2 good turns for Dynamatic to be played.
Sure.
So I don't think it's super necessary, and I don't think ETC wants to extend too far on the board, considering that Firebat's not really doing anything. If he keeps pushing a little bit of chip damage and generating value, chip damage for basically no card cost, then he's going to be in a favorable position as this game goes on, because he gets to hold all that stuff to go for big bursts, force Firebat to have to remove every single turn. Four lackeys after this turn from this Evil Totem. Oh my.
Wow.
Doesn't even have enough hand space to Barista.
I think he does, but you have to evolve.
He'd have to mutate first, yeah. Then he'd have Exacties.
I think now you can just start tossing in stuff. Witchy Lackey on the Life Drinker, perhaps. I guess in this case he wants to bounce back to Life Drinker to just get more damage, invest into the pool.